All right, it is precisely 6 o'clock, and I will call the meeting to. And we are recorded. So the first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. So moved. Second,
Seconded.
all right. And you've all had access to it. There is one item of the agenda that has been removed because the application was withdrawn, and that's the Haystack, Friends of Haystack Rock application to house David's chair. So that was removed a while ago, so. Okay, as approved, the agenda is as the public agenda was published. So we have minutes from the last meeting held January 15th, 2026. Has everyone had a chance to look at them? Are there any corrections to the minutes? Any additions? Entertain a motion to approve the agenda from January 15th.
I move to approve the minutes of the meeting from January 15th, 2026.
All right. I will second that.
Second.
Okay, good. Harvey will second. All right, all in favor? Yes.
Aye.
All right. Motion is, the minutes are approved. Okay, we have a section for public comments. This section is for non-agenda items only. If you would like to speak during the public hearing agenda item, save your comments for that time. They will be considered during the public hearing portion of the meeting when the item is considered by the board. But if you would like to make a comment on any other matter, please feel free to approach, and you'll be within range of the camera and the microphones. Anyone? Seeing no one, we will pass the public comment section. And now we are going to the first item of the hearing agenda, and that is DRB 2518. This is the quasi judicial hearing regarding this. Should I read the application? Or do you do that during the staff report? He'll do it? Okay. All right, so we're ready for the staff report on 2518.
Yes, this is Andy Patterson.
Just one second, does anyone object to the jury?
Oh yes. Does anyone object to the jurisdiction of the DRB on this agenda item? I see no objections. Are there any ex parte communications or conflicts of interest by members of the board on this agenda item?
Nope.
No? All right. Did anyone make a site visit to this location?
Site visit.
Site visit.
All right. Okay, staff report.
Thank you. This is an Andy Patton application for new fencing at 132 West Jackson Street in a residential medium density R2 zone. This is an application for fencing. The application will be reviewed against the criteria municipal code 1770 design review. The applicant proposes the installation of 2 new 4x6 foot wooden gates to secure the side and rear yards of a non-residential building owned by CenturyLink. No additional fencing is proposed for the property. This application is being brought before the design review board as alterations to site improvements for non-residential uses are subject to review as per municipal code. Moving into the approval criteria for 1772.20 fences. The comment is that the application conforms to the height and clear vision requirements of this section. Note the fencing is proposed in the subject property's front yard. Moving into 1770.080 site design evaluation criteria. The proposed gates are consistent with the height and materials used in the existing fencing at the subject property. The gates will not be located within the required front yard. Moving into the landscape design evaluation criteria. Staff comment is no changes to landscaping other than the new gates are proposed as part of this application. In 2002, a conditional use permit was issued authorizing an expansion of the structure. This application included a landscaping plan, which showed various plantings to be used around the structure. The design review board application DRB 02-11 found that the application for expansion of the building met the landscaping requirements in place at that time. During a February 2026 review of the subject property, Community Development Department found the following regarding the current landscaping conditions, and that is detailed and contained in the staff report. And that covers the amount of building coverage, non-landscaped areas, walkways, and vegetated areas. During this landscape review, the city staff documented the current conditions in order to compare them to the 2002 landscaping plan. Staff found the site partially conforms to the plan. However, some areas of shrub plantings were to be absent. The schematic of the landscaping plan and site photographs are included in exhibits 4. The design review stated that the landscaping standards require non-residential uses to provide no less than 20% of the site area to landscaping based on proportions and lot coverage detailed in the report. The property currently conforms to landscaping standards. The addition of new gates will not significantly affect proportions of landscaping on the property. Signage provisions for the zone area are found in Code 1762-04C, where each property is granted one single sign with an area of no more than 2 square feet per sign area. This will require the applicant to limit the no trespassing signage as shown on the property. It should be noted, the 2002 conditional use permit and setback reduction application for the property, along with the existing site plan on page 12 of the staff report, identifies a 6-foot fence surrounding the lot. And yet the only indication of fencing mentioned in the application materials is in reference to the conditional use permit, which as the applicant explained how the proposed site and building design will be compatible with the surrounding area. The response states our site and building will be compatible with residential surroundings, though will siding, tram, gable roofs, ordinance. Pathways going to drive in the street. The application from last year dated September 8th, 2025, also included explains how the applicant proposed to replace the majority of the same fencing with chain link fence. Although the chain link fence was denied, the application to replace the existing fence the existing wooden fence suggests that the owner intends to adhere to Municipal Code 1771-20 landscaping standards, which states that maintenance of all landscaping approved as part of a design review plan shall be continuously maintained. As stated earlier, this is not part of an application, but Municipal Code 1771-2I provides recourse to the city to see that the approved landscaping plan is maintained. And that concludes the staff.
All right, is there any additional correspondence?
No, other than Mr. Patton indicated he was not on.
He will not be present.
Correct.
All right. All right, we will call for public testimony. The pertinent criteria to be considered are noted in the staff reports and listed in the criteria sections posted in the meeting page of the city's website. So testimony, arguments, and evidence must be directed toward that criteria or other criteria in the comprehensive plan or municipal code, which the person is testifying believes to apply to this decision. Persons who testify shall first receive recognition from the chair. What you do is you state your name and your local address and your mailing address, and if appearing in a representative capacity, identify whom you represent. Is there a presentation by the applicant?
No, as stated, the applicant is not here tonight.
Not here at all, okay. All right, presentations by proponents of the application. All right, presentations by opponents. Raise your hand, all right? Sure, come on up.
My name's Joanne Kramer and my mailing address is P.O. Box 750, Cannon Beach, Oregon, 97110.
Right,
And I just need to know if the fence is going to be replaced. It's the phone company's fence and it's like close to my property. Anyhow, I just need to know that.
and
And it's in disarray.
it's in disarray.
Yes,
It's deteriorating,
yes.
okay.
The posts are in good order, but all the wood needs to be refurbished.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else want to be heard? Great.
Hi, I'm Kathy Crocker, and I have 144 West Jackson on the other side of the home company. And I just want to reiterate what Joanne has said about the fence. We are on this side here, she's on this side here, and the fence is rotting. And again, if they're gonna just put fence up in the front, they need to go all the way to the back. It's rotting, that's all.
Thank you.
What's your mailing address? Pardon, your mailing address?
Kathy Crocker. All right, anyone else wish to be heard as an opponent to this application? Is there a staff response?
No.
The applicant or proponent is not here, so there will be no additional statements. Okay, we're going to close the public hearing at this point and move for consideration of the application. Is there a motion to approve the landscape design?
Well, there is no landscape, so the only thing to comment about, I think, is the maintenance, which is covered from back in 2002. And I think would still be applicable for the responsibility of the applicant to maintain all landscape that was approved under their conditional use permit. And I believe that would include the fence surrounding the north portion of that building. Is my understanding. I'm not quite sure how we would
Yeah,
proceed with a motion to approve the gates.
yes, so to clarify, those will be handled through city process. Both subjects that have been brought up about the fencing to be in compliance with its approved plan and the signage. They're limited to the amount of incidental signage on the property, so we'll also follow with that.
Okay, is that
But
for
that-
code enforcement
That's
or
not,
how's that?
yes. that's
Right,
what we-
okay.
So that's not to do with this application, but it is, that's why we put it in the staff report, to let you guys know that, we'll follow.
So we're saying to some of the public comment that that fence will be properly maintained.
Well, we will do our part, but it's up to them to maintain, yes.
Right, but there are mechanisms in place that will motivate them to maintain.
Yes.
According to their permit.
There's violations and penalties for.
Okay,
Could we have a motion to request that code enforcement examine the matter?
We can condition approval on that. I mean, we're going to do that, but you can put that as a condition of approval.
Hey, Jeff, I have a question. It seemed like at the last meeting, we made the continuance subject to a new landscape plan, subject to, getting rid of the signs, fence, the whole deal. But none of that appears to be in the packet or proposed by the applicant. Why would we not just deny the application in whole because they didn't do what we asked them to do?
Well, you continued, and so they, at least legally, there has been no action, right? So they're not to, I mean, you can deny it if you like, but, like I said, that's a different avenue as, enforcement. And, they don't have to turn in the landscape plan, I think we gave them the opportunity, from the last meeting. And so it's up to you guys to decide on your path of, your action forward. So we have to tell them that you tonight, but, I would, suggest that, just like Harvey said also, that you have the other opportunity where you can condition the approval on something, so. That gives them, like you said, when you hinted at it at the last meeting, this gives an official action that says, we condition this approval on this. And if we don't see that, then, they can take it to the next step.
So why would we, go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, it seems to me they ignored our request. I'd be quite willing to make a motion to deny in its entirety. Code enforcement absolutely should proceed in this matter, no matter what we do tonight. This property's been in violation of their 2002 agreement, in my opinion, for a very long time.
So I
Yeah,
believe we have a
seems-
motion to deny.
not done, but we can
Right.
still discuss a
Right,
little bit,
yes.
Chair, if that's
Yes.
okay. I would agree that it seems, out of sequence to, approve a brand new gate without first addressing, the other maintenance issues, especially as, given what, Mr. Ramey said, that we've made suggestions and have not seen anything come back to show good faith effort. And that by denying their application, and they also understand the caveat is that fence needs to be replaced and some of the landscaping might need to be addressed, would, send a clear message that these things need to be taken care of. Is that anything else?
The signage issue.
Yeah, it's my understanding that they're limited to one no trespassing sign, given what I read in our packet. So that should be clear, and that could be something that the city code enforcement would deal with, but I think in good faith, for the neighbors and, for our committee that would be in support of denying the application as it's presented.
I also support,
Want to make a motion, Mr. Ramey?
I move that we deny the application in its entirety.
Second?
All right. All in favor of the motion to deny the application?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
All right, four of us. All right. Passed, the application is denied. Then the application was for simply replacement of the fence. The other matters,
No,
Yeah.
it was just for new gates. Fence gates.
they're new gate, okay, all right. Okay, and then enforcement can handle other non-compliant issues at this point?
Yes, they'll investigate the,
All right. All right, that's. Okay, so we're moving on to item. The third item, which is a continuation of DRB 2521. And let's see. Does anyone object to the jurisdiction of the Design Review Board to hear this matter this time? Seeing none, does any commission member believe he or she has a conflict of interest or personal bias on this application? None? Ex parte contacts with an applicant or a proponent or made a site visit?
Site visit.
Site visit. All right, staff report on this agenda item.
Thank you. The application is Sandy Reedman on
Oh,
behalf.
I'm sorry, could you speak up? I usually hear very well and I really can't.
I second that motion.
And are there any additional handouts? No, okay, there weren't any, okay, thank you.
The application is Sandy Reedman on behalf of Loma Sauna House for design review of exterior alterations, landscaping modifications, and new signage and development materials at 232 North Spruce Street. The application will be reviewed against criteria, municipal code 1770 design review. The applicant proposes exterior alterations to 232 North Spruce Street, a multi-tenant commercial building located in the C1 commercial zone in conjunction with renovations space that has been occupied by Cannon Beach Spa and Boutique on the northwestern corner of the building. Proposed changes include modifications to the business's entrance, changes in fenestration to the building's western facade, and the construction of a private garden area with a fence. During its January 2026 public hearing on this application, the design review board approved changes to fenestration and the placement of signage using alternative materials. This application is proposed in conjunction with file number DRB 2601 regarding the location of the Cannon Beach Chocolate Cafe, which is in the same building. As the landscape evaluation criteria apply to the whole property and are limited to, as the landscape evaluation apply to the whole property, this staff report will refer to that application where appropriate. Moving into the approval criteria for the site design evaluation criteria. The staff comment is that the application proposes to change the site's layout through the creation of a private garden in the western portion of the property. This will include the removal of an existing fence and replacement with a curved 6-foot tall fence made from cedar with a metal frame. This fence will enclose a new covered 15 by 14-foot patio with a fire pit. The northwestern corner of the property is located on this location of a walking path connecting 232 North Spruce Street with 231 North Hemlock. The addition of a fence will not interfere with the path, but will serve as a privacy screen between the business's patio and pedestrian traffic. The Cannon Beach Rural Fire Protection District has indicated that there is no concern regarding pedestrian movement through the walkway as a result of the new fence. However, the absence of the gate may affect their ability to access the western portion of the property or the west portion of the building in the event of a fire or emergency. Moving into the architectural design evaluation criteria. The staff comment is that the application proposes the addition of a patio cover on the western portion of the building. The cover will be integrated into the building's roof line, have white vertical posts, and cedar shingling similar to that used on the sides of the roof. Moving into the landscape design criteria. The staff comment is that the application proposes the addition of a new 218 square foot covered patio with a gas fire pit located in a private yard on the western portion of the property. The private yard will be separated from a pedestrian walkway that connects the property to 231 North Hemlock Street. The fence will be no more than 6 feet above the existing grade and be constructed with cedar slats over a steel frame. Portions of an existing walkway that lead to an entrance will be deleted and are to be removed. Application materials indicate that an existing tree in the northwestern corner of the property will be retained and that new native drought-resistant plants will be added. Information about additional plantings in the patio area are detailed in Exhibit A5. The proposed plan includes the addition of hydrangeas, rhododendrons, lavender, Japanese forest grass, ferns, and other flowering plants. As this application is being considered in conjunction with proposed landscaping improvements at the Cannon Beach Chocolate Cafe, this review will refer to that application where appropriate. The subject property measures 15,000 square feet. The proportions of various existing and proposed improvements are detailed in the table included in the staff report. Municipal Code 1771-20 details the landscaping standards required for non-residential properties. Specifically, 20% of the property be reserved for landscaping, with half of that amount required to be living plant materials. Landscaping includes hard cover such as walkways, courtyards, and outdoor seating areas, but does not include off-street parking. Based on this requirement, no less than 3,000 square feet or 20% of the 15,000 square foot property must be landscaped, with no less than 1,500 square feet or 10% of the total property being vegetated materials. The combination of existing improvements and proportions to changes in the application and application 2601 are detailed in the table in the staff report. Based on the calculations in the staff report, an additional 374 feet of vegetated landscaping must be provided across the subject property in order to meet the minimum standards of 1771-20. A revised landscaping plan for DRB 2601 was received from the city on February 10th. However, no measurements are provided on that material and no estimates have been made regarding the amount of proposed landscaping in the revision. The information in the table of the staff report is based on estimates calculated from materials provided with this application, the application for DRB 2601, measurements, aerial imagery. A site-wide landscaping plan has not been provided as part of the application for this property. And that concludes the staff report.
Is there any additional correspondence?
No.
Do we do public testimony first or the applicants? Is the applicant present?
Yeah.
Yes, all right. Let's hear the presentation by the applicant.
All right, I'm back. Sandy Reedman, 755 North Hemlock, mailing address, PO Box 1447. All right, I have a complete landscape plan for you this time. I know, very exciting. Starting with the structure, I'm not sure if you have this.
Yes, that's in our packet.
So I'll start with the structure. Is a simple patio structure coming off the existing roof line. And the goal is when you're underneath it, for it to feel like it's been there the whole time. And from the walkway, for it to kind of disappear and again, feel like it's been there the whole time and just continue with the same post design as the one that's already existed. It's made out of the same materials. I would like to put a skylight in it, just in the patio structure. It'll cover a new concrete patio. The new curved fence line, the cedar and steel will allow me to have a little more space in that private patio. And it's just for, you can only access it when you're in the business, in the sauna house. But I do have a gate on the south side of the open gate in case of emergency. People can get out of the back, just FYI. But that fence is just gonna get repairs and not need. So you can exit the back garden space. The landscape plan, which I think he said was A5, I just drew in literally all my favorite plants, and I'm all for making sure I have enough green space. So if this isn't enough green space, like I'm all for figuring out how to keep planting and make it beautiful. I want it to be, lush and all the good stuff. So whatever that is. I want to put a new, bench on the outside of the new fence line facing the public walkway. Just to kind of set the tone of just a beautiful space. And the new fire pit is going to sit in the middle of the new concrete, under the new structure. And it's going to be about 30 inches wide, it's from Prison Hardscapes. And we measured it and it's 8'6" from the top of the fire pit to the top of the structure. And I had the fire marshal come on and he seemed to agree that was gonna work. And I got the information from him on all the, getting all the mechanical permitting and all that for it. But it really just sets the tone of a lounge outside of the sauna house that anybody who comes can sit and have tea. It'll be Adirondack chairs, just literally a chill space to hang out while you're sauna, steam room, cold plunging, lounging. And there's already existing bamboo. There's some existing landscape boulders that I'm keeping. I'm trying to keep things, but then just plant everything around it. I think that covers everything.
Any member of the board have any questions of the applicant's representative?
I love what you're doing.
Thanks,
I'll just
Anita.
Say that. I am a little worried about that little grove of trees that are right there. I know your plans, indicate that there's one tree and it's gonna be saved, but
Yeah,
I think there's more than one there.
there are
they're-
some small,
They're
yeah.
pretty, and so I just worry about the stress of that and whether you've considered in your landscape if that might be mitigated, you know, if you.
I was told I was told they were small enough to take out. But if
Okay.
they're not, these
Well,
come
no,
over, we
that's-
can measure them and if
That's
they're.
what I'm saying though, is if they are, cause I don't.
I was
know if
gonna
they're be
take them
that
out
happy.
and plant a vine maple
Yeah,
in the other space. I just got that from the list of
Yeah.
trees you guys like.
okay.
Or that
all right.
are given me. So I was gonna plant a new vine maple and take those out
Mhm.
because of the structure
Okay,
and
So-
leave the one. I should have put that in.
the biggest one, in that
Yeah,
little grove?
the one that's gonna be outside of the fence line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I was just trying to figure out which one tree you were saving, so,
That, the one, by the top, Susie Scoop's window,
okay. So the little grove, or I think it's pine, so those are gonna be taken out.
those are not, I thought those were fruit trees.
Okay, but those are gonna get taken out.
Those are gonna get taken out,
Okay,
yeah, sorry, I
Okay.
should have put that on here.
yeah, that, I just wanted some clarification on that,
It's a good,
just
By
to,
yourself.
yeah, so that
Yes.
nobody's surprised when you
Yes.
say you're
Yeah.
saving a tree and then the trees are.
saving one tree taken, yeah,
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
all right,
and planting another.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that was really all I had. One question for staff. I don't know if this is the time. I might save this question for later, just for time, if anybody else has.
Yeah, I think
Comments
that's very
or-
helpful. I think, yeah, helps with the tree issue. So ask a question. You have other,
No, I was allowing
Okay.
anyone else that might have a
all right.
question.
Anybody else? So you have no problem with adding the approximately 374 square feet of vegetative plants that
Yeah,
is.
I'm into it, I'll plant everywhere, anywhere.
All right, any other questions of the opponent? Thank you.
Thank you, that's it.
Yes. Are there any presentations by, is there any testimony by opponents of the application?
Proponents.
Be done.
Yeah, proponents.
Pardon?
Proponents first.
Proponents
Yeah,
first.
So choose the applicant.
Do we have right, we have testimony by anyone who supports the proponent's plan? No, all right, then testimony by anybody opposing the plan, the application? No. All right, does staff have any response to the interchange we made on the landscape issues? No?
Do you have a question?
Well, and this is just formality, it's not necessarily about this particular applicant, but in just looking at your little graph here as far as square feet and percentage. And it says that off-street parking is not to be included in landscape plan. Is that included in the 15,000 square foot total lot?
Yes.
And should that be subtracted when you're looking at landscape area?
Was not included in the landscaped area.
No, I know, but I'm asking if the off-street parking
Yeah.
would be subtracted from a lot size when you are calculating the percentage of landscape.
Yeah, so you have to have 10% of your property in softscape, and then at least 10% in.
Right,
So the off-street parking area is included in the total lot
Right,
size, so that's your
right.
question.
right. But wouldn't that be subtracted when you're factoring in the landscape coverage? So,
No.
so you
we-
include the off-street parking,
When
it-
the whole lot size is included, if it's a 15,000 square lot, then 10% of that lot area has to be softscape.
right, but
20%.
parking, off-street parking is not included, is not used towards landscape.
Correct. So there has
That's
to be.
why I'm asking, shouldn't it be taken out of the total square footage when you're calculating landscape area?
That would effectively create some sort of void in the total lot area.
Okay, well, I was just thinking simple math, that you say it's 15,000 and you subtract 5,000 from off-street parking, and then you have 10,000 that would be.
You're looking at kind of gross.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not-
Okay. Okay.
That sounds like a amazingly good topic for our code audit thing, because I think that makes tremendous sense, but it's not what the code says.
That's what I was trying to determine. Okay, thank you.
All right, does the proponent wish to make any additional statement?
No.
Yeah. We're gonna close the public hearing and move for consideration of the application. Is there a motion to approve the site plan?
Can we do this in one motion where it's just, I move to approve, the application for design, exterior alterations, landscape modifications and new signage, using alternative materials, DRB 25-21.
Second.
But I could amend it. Yes.
Say that if there was discussed during your deliberations about conditioning the approval on the landscape percentage being, correct.
So do you want to add that to your motion?
Well, it sounds like it has been. She submitted a plan and has.
We have not
We have
received.
received a, with the calculation, we're showing the square acreage,
Can you explain what that looks like?
yeah, so if you, just any kind of, you would do the survey or an engineer, drawing of the site plan.
So just the backyard area that we're talking about?
The whole property.
The whole property? Okay.
That's why I think, Rob, suggested both, parties, speak with your, landlord, because it needs to be for the entire property.
Okay,
Well,
I see
when we
that.
talk about sign, again, this is a very key thing. That's the difficulty with these business complexes.
Got it.
It's written for the entire property.
So would it be helpful if I submitted that, like would it be helpful if I submitted my new and their new plus what's existing? Is that?
It would be nice if, yeah, if we would. Then it's got different hazards. That way you guys understand.
Yeah.
Where you're.
And I'm happy to get that to you ASAP. If you approve it and just tell me to
Well,
send that in, I will do
I
that
can amend
ASAP.
the, yeah, I can amend the motion to, approve the application, while waiting for the updated completed landscape plan.
Condition the approval upon, the correct landscape percentages and, at the discretion of the meeting.
Okay, will that be administratively approved?
Yeah,
Or will that need to come back to?
Now I'll work with them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Does that sound appropriate? Do I need to re-say it, Tessa, or are we looking just ready for a second?
Are we on the record with the condition being part of the motion? All right, you got it. Okay, second?
Seconded.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Thank you.
Congratulations, good luck.
I'm so excited. Everybody needs to come when I open in May.
Right. And just wait a minute, just that includes the architectural and the landscape design. It's all in one now. Okay,
They're approved based.
all right, we're up to DRB 2601. Does anyone, this is a quasi judicial hearing, so this is an application for external alteration to commercial property at Cannon Beach Chocolate Cafe at 232 North Spruce Street. And does anyone object to the jurisdiction of the Design Review Board to hear this matter today? No objections being made. Does any commission member believe he or she has a conflict of interest or personal bias? No? Has any commission member had any ex-parte contacts or made a site visit?
Site visit.
Site visit. All right, we're ready for the staff report.
Yes, the application is for exterior structural and landscaping alterations, 232 North Spruce Street, multi-tenant commercial building located in the C1 commercial zone, in conjunction with renovations to the space formerly occupied by the North by Northwest Gallery. The proposed alterations include changes in fenestration, recoloring of the main entrance, and landscaping changes for the purpose of adding outdoor seating. The signage referenced in the application was reviewed administratively under the provisions of Municipal Code 1762 signs through sign permit 2601. Moving into the approval criteria. For the site design evaluation criteria, the comment is that the application proposes repurposing the currently landscaped area in front of the former North by Northwest Gallery for use as outdoor seating. Additional details about this proposed conversion are provided in the landscaping evaluation criteria portion of the staff report. Moving into the architectural criteria. The application proposes to add a new exterior door on the northern portion of the building. This door will be a recycling of an existing door from the space occupied by Roma Sana House. The currently blue primary entrance to the retail space will be repainted a darker green with a gold accent. And moving into the landscaping design criteria. Much of this comment is similar to the previous staff report, so I'm going to abbreviate this somewhat for brevity. The application proposes the addition of approximately 846 square foot patio measuring 18 by 47 feet, located in front of the cafe's new location at the northwestern corner of the building. The proposed patio would replace the currently landscaped area. The application materials indicate that raised garden beds will be provided. However, no information has been provided yet regarding their size. And again, moving through all of the breakout of the property. And effectively, the comment from that point forward is very similar to the previous staff report. And that concludes this.
Thank you. Can I ask what the additional landscape area is? You said there was 374, like the
So,
other one?
so 374 is the required area, yes, across the whole site.
Okay. Oh, all right, thank you. All right, so. All right, so I'm gonna call for public testimony for, do we have an applicant here or a representative?
Yeah, we're here.
Oh, you're here. Oh, great, come on up. And if you would, state your name and your address.
I am Kelly Mauer, 108 Ross Lane, PO Box 1262 in Cannon Beach.
I'm Danielle Marsh. I live in 1251 9th Avenue, Seaside, Florida.
Great, thank you. Welcome.
So it was brought to our attention that we did have too much hardscape in our original plan, so we submitted a second version of what we would like to change, and we didn't want to do any more above ground. Garden beds, because we heard we needed more permeable ground, so we changed that to have in-ground garden beds, sort of surrounding it, 2 feet wide, kind of all around. And planted, like native plants that are mostly elk-proof, because that is a problem in our area. And we just wanted it to be very, I don't know, cottage garden feel. We, love the Cannon Beach vibe we want to go for. That's kind of our goal. And we thought we would change it to larger flagstone, I don't know, 3 to 4 feet, I don't know, they're, imperfect flagstone, but maybe with the blue star creeper in between to be more permeable and to add a little bit more organic. And I think it'll just make it look softer. It'll be more pretty and luscious. And I did talk to Dominic Dixon, maybe our gardener. I'm on the board of the museum and he does our gardening for us. He does a really good job. So we're gonna have him maintain the space for us. You can move that a little bit. Well, do you have any questions about like the door or anything?
We're adding the door on the side, so it's an emergency exit, so that we can have 2 entrances.
And a service entry.
And then service entrances for delivery, because we're making that side room a chocolate production room. And so that way, traffic could go towards that side door for like staff and, milk deliveries and packages and whatnot. And it also gives the space 2 exits in case of fire. And we are also proposing to put in a little library. Or little free library, I don't know how you say it, and it would have a like wooden bench with the little library next to it, and it would be facing the public sidewalk. So closest to the existing sidewalk, and it would be like, what would it, east side of our garden. And then on our patio, we're hoping to add a small fire pit. We're looking at like a stone, small bowl, that you should have a picture of with a shield around it. And just some bench seating around it. Just 2 feet wide, nothing huge. We're not doing a huge one like the bars, the overpost. Something small, cozy. Yeah. So we're kind of going for this cozy beach cottage, English garden kind of vibe.
Cannon Beach.
We're changing that color from yellow to a darker green. and, gold accents, and we're hoping to paint around the windows and the door that dark green. And then put our approved sign above the door. So, I think that covers everything. So, and we're hoping to do community, classes, and so we're hoping to do more community things, and then we're having the free library, so we're trying to do more community-driven things with our business.
Any questions for any member of the board?
Well, first, just let me say, I like your application and what you were, striving for there. I don't have a challenge with any of it. My only thought is when you put this door, just looking at the photograph, is that it's very close to that ramp. And I just wonder about any confusion for people that might be wanting to go to the spa, that would be going into the cafe. And if you have thought about how you might,
Well, we're proposing to paint it green as well.
but it's all window, isn't it? If you're using or repurposing the spa door.
Yeah.
So it's all window.
It's mostly window, but,
You could put a tiny little sign.
Well, I was just gonna say, I hope it doesn't get littered with signs saying, you know,
no.
don't enter, go that way, bathrooms are that
Nothing
way.
aggressive.
beaches that
No,
way.
no, no.
So,
At the most, we put, Cambridge chocolate cafe.
Yeah.
yeah, just a little something maybe to be mindful of. I don't know if it'll even be.
But,
an issue.
it would open inward, so it wouldn't open into the,
Yeah,
ADA ramp for the cafe. And, or not cafe, sorry, the spa.
right,
It would open inwards, so hopefully that wouldn't cause any, like,
right.
issues.
Other questions?
No, so this will be included with, the application for the landscape, and so they'll be covered when the complete landscape plan comes, so they won't need to.
I would just suggest it would be the same condition.
Okay. Okay,
They're tied again.
right, okay.
Yeah, the contingency on it being 10% of the whole property.
Right.
We could also promise to help Sandy or work together with.
So your beds around that perimeter and on the east side may qualify for a good portion of that, so,
Okay.
um,
Yeah, because they're 24, so they're 12 by 2, so they're 24 feet on each one square feet. So, and then around that, like, sign, sorry, I keep interrupting you.
no, you're fine, yeah.
Around that sign pagoda, we're gonna do a garden, and so that would be all
Mhm.
garden as well.
Yeah, I have all the faith in the world that you're gonna do a fantastic, community-minded, space there, so thank you. And I'll let somebody else make a motion. It's like I'm making all the motions tonight.
Very good. Are there any presentations by proponents, other proponents of this plan? Presentations by opponents? Any staff response on any of the exchange? All right. So is there a motion to approve the site plan? There's an architectural design and a landscape design. So there's the door, there's the patio, and that is basically this landscape area. The architectural, I suppose it's considered the way they've got it, with the little library, free little library. So is there a motion to approve the application?
I move we approve the application as presented.
And how about the condition that they comply with the landscape requirement as identified by staff?
With that addition.
All right, so it's motion to approve on that condition.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye, all right, so it approved, it passes 4-0. All right, this is the last item on the agenda until we get to the public hearing or our discussion on signage. So this is DRB 2603. This is an application for a new doorway on a non-residential structure. This is a wayside judicial hearing regarding Cannon Beach Community Church application for a new entryway to the non-single family residential structure at 132 East Washington, the residential medium density zone. Does anybody object to the jurisdiction of the design review board to hear this matter? Does any member of the commission believe they have conflict of interest? Personal bias? What about ex-party contacts? Site visit?
Site visit.
All right, staff report.
Well, thank you. The applicant proposes the replacement of the existing 5-foot wide primary entry doors at Cannon Beach Community Church, a non-residential building located in the C1 commercial zone. The proposed doorway will measure 6 feet wide and require minor structural alterations to the building to accommodate the increasing width. The application materials indicate that the new doors be painted with Sherwin-Williams and Blue Lagoon, which is the same color as the existing doorway. No changes to the sign layout or landscaping are proposed as part of the application, and that concludes the staff report.
All right. Is there anybody present for the applicant? Oh, welcome. Yes,
My name's John Ray. I'm here with the address is 89667 Osprey Drive, Warrenton.
so would you like to say about this application?
The Blue Lagoon, as far as color goes, our design review on our side, they're in talking with the door company. They want to go with a commercial door, anodized, aluminum door. And it would be, I did bring a picture and I submitted it, I gave it.
Yeah, so was a picture included, but it didn't indicate that there was going to be a color change.
I think if it's okay to go with the standard charcoal color that from the manufacturer. It's what you see on most commercial doors with the darker trim. That's what they would like to see used instead of the blue.
So is that a substitution of your previous request?
Yeah, it'd be a subs. I'm not really sure where they're gonna go, and I think they wanna be able to have the choice of doing the blue or the charcoal. Because we're not quite sure dealing with the door manufacturer, if they could separate the color from the inside. Their process would be the whole door would be that color blue. We would have to do something with the inside color to make it to match, the interior trim. So we just thought, well, the darker standard charcoal would match the windows that are there on the east side of the bottom, same side as the doors.
How'd you see it? It looks like this. All right, anyone have any questions? Any member of the board have any questions related to this change or this application?
Can I ask why you're changing the doors? From
They're
5 foot
old,
wide to 6
hardware
foot?
is- Panic hardware isn't functional. There's a big gap between the two doors when they close. Primarily, it's a safety issue with the panic hardware. You can't open the left door without really leaning into it, just let it release. And they're starting to rot. They're just old. they're wood doors. So we were gonna replace them with wood, but the door manufacturer said today's wood doors. No, they wanted, they steered us towards going with the.
How long have those doors been in that church?
Hmm?
How long have the current doors been a part of that church?
Good question. I don't know.
50 years?
I don't know if this
Mhm.
eight, all the doors out there are heated, basically. The,
I can corroborate, Mr. Way's, assessment that the panic doors, are not particularly functional, or panic bars, I should say, are not particularly functional. And so, it does need replacement for sure.
So it looks like there's a light fixture currently. And that's at the 5 foot. Is the 6 foot door going to affect the light fixture or what's being done about?
we would like to
lighting?
update it, and we're gonna try to keep it there. Something that doesn't, that's really more green, it isn't gonna broadcast the light, it's really gonna focus the light horizontal or vertical. And maybe just cast, there are so many light fixtures out there.
So you're talking about a new light fixture?
Yeah, cause that's old too, so. Or if you'd like us to keep it, we'll keep it. It will
Well,
be-
I'm just not clear from this photo, if a 6 foot door is going to intrude on the location of where the current
For the current
light
light.
fixture is and if that's been, addressed or thought of.
Well, we thought, depending on what we find structurally inside the walls to support the suggested, header. Because the header will be increased and it's.
Do you think that there would be any issue that might come up that might have you go back to the table to look at maybe 5 foot wide doors, if you need new doors?
Well, that
and
was
they
the-
would be
the
wooden
issue
or
with the
more.
5
Well, wait a minute, we can't get a clear record if we don't let each other finish the sentence, so proceed.
So, I guess obviously it might be becoming apparent that the aluminum doors, I feel like in keeping with the, artistry and aesthetics of the community, that wooden doors or some sort of wooden looking doors rather than just aluminum doors, which you can find at any mall, to replace in that beautiful church might have been a consideration and what might get you back if, the lighting became an issue or the whole surrounding area of the door that's deteriorating becomes an issue. So I'm just trying to get a feel for how much any anticipated challenges.
I think the biggest challenge was, door manufacturers. They're not ADA compliant the way they are right now, with double door. 5 feet wide is only 30 inches. Right, so 5 times 12 is 60, divided by 2, 30, the minimum ADA requirement for a door is 32 inches. So we would have to, and no door company would do that.
Well, you're talking about a single door, it needs to be 32 inches. You've got double doors, which are 60, so you could open both doors to be ADA
Wow.
compliant.
I suggested that, but the city would provide a letter for me to give to the manufacturers, saying that it was okay. So that's why we find that doors be ADA compliant, even though there's not a ramp, there's steps there. That's just, it's just a law. Oh. ADA compliance. So we were kind of tossing, we can stick in manufacturers and who are solely lean, but we want something that's gonna last a while. Cause it's not cheap to put in. of a door like that in a car where, the blue. We can get a powder coated blue, the same blue, that it can match any blue that you want, then we can deal with the inside. But it would still be the aluminum frame, that would be cool. Maybe that would give the appearance or more.
Is this the main entrance?
For people that are coming to the church from the parking lot, facing the parking lot.
All right, so is there
That
another,
entrance
go
is
ahead,
on Washington.
yes, is the Washington, entry, street level? Can they go
No,
through?
it's got
So
a-
they-
It's a ramp. There are two doors, and one is faces west and one faces east
we all got,
with a little foyer entrance that. So it's enclosed, it's a little bump out from the church. So you enter either one of those two doors and then another set of double doors that lead into the foyer of the church.
they've all got stairs.
There is a ramp on
Okay.
the,
Oh, there is a ramp,
yes,
okay,
and those doors are 36 inches wide.
okay, so you have one ADA compliant door.
Well, every other door is ADA compliant,
Oh.
it's just the double doors there in the parking lot on this, the face each side.
So are these the doors you're proposing?
Yeah, that was the one that, we were gonna go with, but we can go with the blue. And just to ease your mind, we would not use it as a poster board, you know, to put up a bunch of signage. It would stay clean.
Anything else?
So you would do these same doors in blue, is that what you're saying?
If that's what you would like to see, we could do that and we can paint the inside. You know,
Okay.
it's the exterior that we're more concerned with the weather hitting that. Better to be powder coated at the factory, so it comes blue. Because I don't think they could separate it. That's what the door company says, but the manufacturer can't separate the blue. You can't put two colors on it. You can order vinyl windows that are dark on the outside and lighter on the inside, but you can't do that. The most of the doors.
Right. Right, and that's, you have anything else?
I do not.
All right, we did hear from one proponent in your favor, Mr. Ramey. Is there anybody else who would like to make a statement, in favor of this proposal? Of this application? No, is there any presentation by an opponent? Thank you. All right, any staff response?
Yeah.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the design as presented? Where we change in the doors, size and maybe not color, but material, certainly.
I would move to approve the application as presented. Are we stipulating a change to blue or? John, I wasn't clear. Is this an anodized finish or this is a powder coated finish?
Oh, I'm sorry, it is anodized aluminum. No, I'm sorry, if we're gonna go with the blue, it will be powder coated.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll be anodized, which is an electrochemical process to the aluminum to make it better weather system.
Which would match the window trims. If it were anodized aluminum, right?
Correct, it would match the window trims. Those are on the east side of the two big picture windows that those double doors enter into are the only two anodized windows in the church. Everything else is, they're white.
All right, does that change your motion, Mr. Ramey?
It's not clear to me what the applicant is, what the actual applicant's, material choice is. Are we moving, is the application for anodized aluminum to match the window trims, or is it for the powder coated blue?
The original, application was for the powder coated blue.
Okay,
But since the application was, submitted, a month ago, the change was made with, to go with the anodized aluminum. And I brought a picture reflecting that. So ideally, we would like the anodized aluminum. Does that help? Is that clear?
well, maybe just before we go to a motion, let's ask for a little discussion on that. I mean, that doesn't bother me because as I was looking at the picture, the window trims right next to it would match. But what do other board members think of that?
Yeah.
I think it's better than the blue.
I'm sorry, Anita, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I would agree with what they're thinking now, just the anodized gray to match the windows.
I agree also.
And both pictures are in our packet, so it's a late, change, but we have been given notice of it.
Well, let me then frame my motion this way, that I move to approve the application as presented, but stipulating that the exterior color would be the anodized aluminum.
All right, second,
Second,
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Right, all right, thank you. Okay, this ends the public hearing of our meeting, and we're going to begin a work session on signage. Yes,
5-minute break.
oh, sure, yes, we can take 5 minutes. Back in 5 minutes. All right, this is a reminder that the design review board work sessions are an opportunity for us to gather and discuss information pertinent to any specific topic that has become at issue. And it is solely at the board's discretion to allow public input on such topics, although we will invite your input. After a presentation by staff of the relevant material and DRB questioning from the board, if any, I will ask the DRB whether we would like to hear from the public at this time. And we thank you for your patience with this process. So I would like to ask for staff's presentation at this time.
Okay. Thank you everyone for staying around with us. I know this work session and that there's so many items. It's gonna be late, but I just want to kind of introduce the topic tonight. We will have another work session next month on this, and so I want to get through mine as quickly as possible with presentation, just to kind of outline the way the signage ordinance is presented for those that don't deal with it daily. And then what I think, what we know is trying to achieve, and then some of the difficulties or the concerns that have been brought up over a few years. And I know I've worked in many jurisdictions across the country and mostly in resort communities. Real nice areas, every one of them unique and special, from Sun Valley, Idaho area to Savannah, Georgia, other coastal areas, to most recent in, Brevard, North Carolina in the Appalachians, a beautiful tourist area. So each one of these had unique, environments, and they want to keep those unique. And I think signage is always a huge topic in any place that I've ever worked. But in these areas, they're really, a sensitive matter. So I just want to briefly go through this ordinance. I don't think has really been that much, amended since probably 79 when it first came before you. The, thing that I handed out is a handout and, is a little, sheet that shows the definitions that we deal with. And then I've got these colors in blue, green, and yellow, which I'll touch, on in my presentation to show you kind of how they play together and maybe some of the difficulties with that. And then I've highlighted at the end of the definitions, I've added what most of you all, as business owners in here tonight, this is the C1, C2, and RM zone sign requirements. And so I'm just gonna kind of walk through and we'll talk about, the types of signage, right, Robert, there's. Yeah, gonna talk about the types of signage, placement of signage, sizing, scope. In other words, what's the scope of the review, who's doing it, non-conformity issues, and then concerns. That's generally how the ordinance is laid out as well. Next slide, please. Next up, a little disclaimer that tonight we're not gonna be pointing fingers at others that we don't like. I'm not here to do, what's wrong with, certain businesses or things. And any kind of reference I use to, our businesses in town will just be as an example, not to say a positive or a negative. I'm just using that as an example. You'll see if I get to some negative things, they're gonna be in jurisdictions far, far away. So anyhow, next one, please. Different types of signs. We'll talk about permanent, temporary, incidental, prohibited, and exempt. And like I said, you'll be quick on all of these at the very end. So first off, is permanent signage, and permanent signage, definition of that means a sign attached to a building structure or the ground in some manner, having a sign face area of 4 square feet or more and made of materials intended for more than short-term use. So even though it's not a permanent sign, so you have the 3 square foot sign, that is still going to calculate towards your signage total. So that's one thing I want to keep in mind as we talk about all these different kinds of signage. And the different types of permanent signs are freestanding, wall, projecting, window, and awning. Next slide, please. So freestanding, I think we all know what a freestanding sign is. We'll get into what these actually mean though to business owners and to residential property owners here in a second, because they're limited in how many and things like that. Permanent is the next one, is a wall. And that's number 2, and that's a typical wall sign there for you. The next one, number 3, is a projecting wall. And that's a projection from the building. 4 is your window, and what does ours say about window signage? It's only etched is the only ones that do not have to go through a DRB review, so an etched window signage. Number 5 is an awning sign. I can't find one in Cannon Beach. That should have been the kind of prize. This is the closest I could get. There's no sign. So, I don't know of an awning sign in Cannon Beach, but in some jurisdictions I come from the south has, tons of them in their, old historic areas. So next up, temporary sign, okay? Temporary sign means a sign such as a banner, not permanently attached to a building, structure, or the ground, and posted for no longer than 72 hours without a special event permit or authorized under an approved sign permit. So in other words, if you got a banner up or some kind of temporary sign, it's up over 72 hours, you really need to come in and get a special events permission on that, to do that. Next one, please, is incidental. An incidental sign means a sign other than a temporary or lawn sign, which does not require a permit. Those are like directional signs, warning, trespassing, danger. The one we had tonight, the no parking, no trespassing, those kind of things. Operational hours, open and closed, are all types of incidental signage. Next, prohibited. I think this is the longest list in Cannon Beach, and it is definitely, I'll give you some examples next. Not gonna be allowed in Cannon Beach, the neon kind of lit up sign. Next, everybody's favorite, the coffee man sign, or any of inflated or next. And the wall, so a wall sign like this, which I came from Brevard, Hills, from Bellingham, or Brevard, North Carolina, other communities celebrate these kind of things, and they have artist murals and signage and stuff on that. The famous Coca-Cola signs from my youth. Next up, I think we all know those signs down there, the little pennant signs or the flag signs. Not allowed, all prohibited. Bench sign, next sign. Sandwich board signs. Sandwich board signs are not allowed here. We allow them in some kind of, one we just allowed was, for the big, they're doing the refurbishment of the building across the street here. So we allow that because, no one can find that business because they put that stuff over there in ways and stuff like that. So we did allow that, but that was to be a temporary type of only through the end of the month. Or through that, if that needs to be extended because of that special use. And then flags, even a Georgia flag cannot be flown. And then next one, there the inwardly lit, the kind of inward lit signs that almost any other community in America. You don't see that here. And then finally, I don't even know what this is. Next one. Mannequins, this would fall also under our outdoor merchandising. You cannot have that type of signage. And this supposedly has a spinning, swaying kind of sign that they're doing nowadays. And you can see these are real. You don't mind to get these in certain communities. So not in this community. So next one, exempt. Okay, so what signs are exempt? Interior, not visible. And this is actually from the code. So I don't even, this is like a tree in the forest kind of thing. A, signs other than neon signs within a building not intended to be visible from the exterior of the building is exempt. It's just saying that you can't have any sign visible outside the building, okay? That's counted as a sign, okay? And so if you've got a sign in your window, that's a sign, okay? So legal right of way signs, those are exempt because we don't allow signs in the right of way unless it's done in the city. Building numbers, 3 flags, and that's a unique one as well. I have to know is that they can only be national or state flags. So that's why I showed you that Georgia Bulldog flag, because that was not really going to be allowed even in residential and other things. So I think that's one of those things, we just kind of not bothering with. And so next one. So the basics of placement. So the way that the ordinance is structured, you have your purpose, then you have those definitions that I handed out, and then you get into the placement of signage, okay? And the basics of placements can be boiled down to 3. You get for every lot, 1 freestanding sign, okay? The next one, please. Then you get 1 permanent sign per business frontage. Okay, this is where those definitions are going to come into play. And then the third one, you get 24 square feet per sign or per lineal foot of business frontage, whichever is less. Okay, and so those are your basics for any signage there in the commercial district. next one, please. And so then it goes into this, the second portion of the placement are these things, where you can't project no more than 2 feet, vision clearance area, vehicle clearance area, pedestrian clearance area, not to constitute traffic hazard, no glare or artificial illumination. So next one, please. So in other words, if this is on the property line, some of our buildings are on or even over, but this is not, that sign is not supposed to project more than 2 feet into the right of way. Okay? Next one.
Is it possible to ask questions?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
No artificial illumination, I feel like I've seen that
Yeah, right.
around town.
Yeah, well, so you can have,
Mine split up.
yes, you can have some, we'll get into the information. Vision clearance area, so this is the thing with the vision clearance area. So in other words, what we're saying is no signage on those kind of corner blocking paths. Some might want to put right in that corner and block driver's vision. Okay, next, number 3, vehicle clearance area. So for cars, you've got anything that a vehicle may pass under must be 14 feet in height for that sign to be blocked. And number 4, pedestrian clearance area. So for our walkways, this has to be 8 feet high. That bottom of that signage in the walkway area. Next up, 5 and 6, no glare or artificial illumination, not to constitute traffic hazard. So what it's saying in this instance is it's not supposed to be glaring or in the face of the drivers or someone. That's why. Yeah. And so the next one. So then you come to your, so then it's broken down into districts. And that's how our sign ordinance comes at you. It comes either in the commercial area and then goes into residential and another area. And so C1, C2, and RM are commercial districts. And it's telling you here that no wall sign can be over 24 square feet, no freestanding sign can be over 24 square feet. And then there is no kind of window or projecting signage kind of discussion of max on either of those. But next sign, please. So now we get into this sheet. So this is where we talk about the backside, the C1, and different definitions of how it's broken down, okay? So you'll see that there's 3 different types: site frontage, business frontage, and building frontage. And then how the ordinance is shaped, it talks about total square footage. Then it talks about number 2 is freestanding signs, 3 signs attached to businesses, and that's broken down into A and B. And then 4, the different types of signs allowed in this district of C1, C2, and RM. Next one, please. And so on our typical size lot, 5,000 square foot lot in Canton Beach, a 50 by 100, that's our normal lot. That site frontage is for how much? 150 square feet, lineal footage, okay? So that's the side of that, of a corner lot, okay? Now, when you look at the difference between that and interior lot, so it's no longer a corner lot, but this is continues, that would only be 50 feet, right? So then you would only have 50 feet of side frontage on an interior lot. So that is what's called side frontage. A building frontage, next one, please. Okay, so the building frontage is going to be measured along these, okay? And then the business frontage is, if this is one business, this is an easy one, right? And so, but the most, even you can have, you had 150 square feet of site frontage and what is that, 120 square feet of business, building frontage. The most a single business can have is 36 square feet per business, okay? And so that is why in your ordinance, you will see it is written that the total square footage of all signs associated with business shall not exceed 1 square footage of sign space per lineal footage of business frontage up to a maximum of 36 square feet. Notwithstanding the above, each business is permitted a minimum of 20 square feet of sign space for, and then it gives you this instance, okay? So if there are 5 businesses, and so I'm giving you one in the middle, and there's a 50-foot, these are our famous little pedestrian walkways. Okay, so I want you to read your different definitions on site, building, and business. And the site, what is the site say? For the definition. Site frontage means the length of the property line parallel to and along each public right of way. So, and we're talking site, we're only talking this right here, right? We're not talking for the, building, or the building, read the building, what the building is. Building frontage means an exterior building wall facing a street, parking lot, or pedestrian wall. So the building is talking about all of that, right? And so then the business frontage is just this, right? Open to the party, okay? So if these little things that I'm calling doorways, these kind of meeting points, if this business, which has 2 faces to the street and then one to this pedestrian pathway, if they didn't have this entryway, they would consider this just the only business. That's the way the ordinance is kind of written, and the distinctions is trying to make it in different categories and how you read this code. And so that's why you'll see, this section here that says, notwithstanding, the section I just read about every business can have 36. Well, when something like this, you can see that's not gonna be constant, right? They're not gonna give you 36 for each business because that exceeds the 50, right? And yet, you know, this could have been, and this is often in what we just had one earlier that you saw where business gets rid of a wall or adds a wall or whatever. And so those businesses are changing. So that's why I think this is it's well done, but it could use some tweaking because it does probably brief on these kind of complex business complexes when they start dividing up frontage. Just as we talked about the landscape square footage, that's shared amongst them as well. But anyhow, so this says right here, each business is permitted a minimum of 20 square feet. Okay, so you don't get just the 20 and the 20. Each one gets 20 square feet as a minimum guaranteed, no matter how many's in that complex. If you had 20 in there, each one would get 20 square feet according to this. And so you don't get this. So next slide, please. Yeah, so it's not, I think, go back. Yeah, there. So then you get that 20 square feet, which really comes to 100 square feet, which is over that 50, which is guaranteed that under all one. Okay, so next one. All right. So, let's see. So, for instance, if this one, corner lot, you got your 5 different businesses in this complex. This one's got 40 square feet of business frontage. This one's got 20, this one's got 40, and this one's got 60, and this one's got 40. But 36, 20, 36, 36, 36, even though it's got 150 sites, this would come to 164. So that's the difficulties with building, okay? It's a very kind of, it's well thought, and I think it's got good intentions, but there are times when I think it's very challenging for administration. So next one. Okay, so one of the things I'd like everyone to know, and you go to our website, and you go to our front page, there is a you'll see a bar and it'll say GIS. And if you go to our GIS, that's our mapping service, okay? And so if you click on the interactive GIS map, it brings you to this screen, okay? And on this screen, you can, up here, there is an identify map feature, select tax lots with map tools, but there's one called search tax lots by address the table. That means tax lot. You can click on that and you can enter an address and you can go to an address, or you can just kind of zoom around as you do on any map and find it. And if you click on the identify map feature, you can click on any property. And it will give you this right here under the results. So if you click on this property, it will give you this as and you get results, it gives you this. And if you go to this history by location, it will give you all of the, whether hopefully signed permits that have been approved in the past will be there. You can find out your information on any kind of past actions from the city, like a conditional use permit or past building plans and things like that. And a lot of people do not know that's there. And it's a world of information that's out there. And if you do not know that's there, click on that history by location. The other are the assessor's link. So if you click on the assessor's link, it takes you to Clatsop County tax information from the property as well, which gives you this right here. Yeah, thank you. And so, this is one for the Skydale property, our property down there, our gallery. And so, if you want to click on the next one. Okay, and so for this one, just to show you, Robert, can you go back just one, second? Okay, this is what you get if you go to that accessory site. This is what they show you. And you can show, it shows you the accessory layout for each level of the property. This shows this as 12 feet. This shows, every dimension on there. It tells you also up here what year it was built, the square footage, retail store, and other information. Okay, go to the next slide, please. And so then, you'll see this is my diagram of the same thing. So just as a quiz, what is the site frontage? What's 150, right, 100 by 50. Corner lot, that lot's it's a side corner. What is the building cost? 62 plus 39. I went to Georgia, not Tech. Sorry. So that is the building part. And then what is the business front?
Let's see that.
Anybody?
There's only one entrance?
Oh, that's the only entrance, so it is. Okay, so next one. She said 50, we have 50 on the table. Oh, so I gave you those again. Okay, next one. Okay, this is from that history by location. This shows, back when they were trying to get this. This is the actual diagram. Darwin, you didn't do this, I don't think of it. So, anyhow, it's giving the kind of dimensions and it's telling you on here its dimensions and the dimensions of the time. But you can see back when Reinmar did this back in 1992, and Reinmar was the previous planning director before me, or well before me. There's a couple between us. But anyhow, he's got, they put in how much, and he scratched them out, and he gave them 12 allowable sign square feet because that one little entryway with the door is 12 foot wide, and so that's all the square footage he gave them. So next one. Oh, can you go up, back up? Sorry. One more. Okay, so he gave them 12. And yet, for reading the ordinance, every lot gets 24 square feet of freestanding signage. They don't have a freestanding signage. So I would think the allowable would be at least that plus the 12, right? So, anyhow, that's the vagaries and the difficulties, because you know, you could read this as all 39 feet, because why just this little entry portal and not the full business frontage, right? Because the business frontage is 39 feet. Okay, it's not 50, it's 39, it's the building, right? The business of the building. And then if they just would have put the door over here, then you get, yeah, so anyhow, that's the vagaries we're playing with here. And so, we can go to the next one. And so that, just, keep going, okay. All right, so when we talk about the scope of review, who reviews signs, okay? Well, all freestanding signs according to our code are subject to review by the DRB, okay? The review shall be conducted as a non-hearing item. So they do the review, but it's not a hearing item. No one can come and comment on that. All right, next one, please. And then it also says signs consisting of other materials must be approved by the DRB if it's not what? Signs constructed of wood or have wood exterior or be painted or etched on a window, or be a part of an awning. And if you're not, go through DRB review. Those are your two things that go through DRB to review. Every other sign, in other words, wood sign, and it's a wood sign, that doesn't go through the DRB.
Does not need, is that right?
It does
Does
not.
not need.
It's an administrative inquiry, okay? So that's a current scope of review. Next slide, please. Okay, non-conforming. So our non-conforming language says, one, brought into conformance out of expansion or changing use. So if you're changing your use or expanding your business, then you need to bring all non-conforming signage or the non-conforming signage into use. No enlargement of non-conformity, so you can enlarge your non-conforming sign. Significantly damaged must be brought into conformance. So if some of the sign gets damaged, I'm sorry to bring that one, not there, like to like or whatever. And for 90 days for non-conformity of temporary signs. So if you have a temporary sign, it needs to be coming into conformity. 5, variances exempt from non-conforming. So there we do some sign variance. So next slide, please. So concerns. So these are some of the current concerns that I've heard in some of the discussions before the DRB and throughout the community. Sign pollution. This is not from our local community. This is from Athens, Georgia. And you can see though, you know, these kind of window signage, there's all kinds of examples of different signs, but you know, those sign pollution, I hear a lot of people saying there's just too many signs. Okay, 2, implementation verification. Okay, so often it's been brought up that, well, this, what was actually put in, the sign that was put in is not the sign that the DRB approved. Okay, well, there's a verification process with every application, and you'll see approved going by and then verified by a code enforcement officer. And so he's supposed to sign off on that for every single signage that comes through. Okay, so next, 3, slippage of standards or interpretation of standards. So it's often been discussed, well, we're not seeing wood as wood anymore. There's issues in this. Well, I'd say there's a few different items that fall into that kind of discussion, and we'll talk about the different materials and stuff. But one of them is under prohibited signs. It says signs that contain luminescence, fluorescence, or phosphorus paints or paper. This includes paints referred to as day glow, hot, or neon. So I can tell you, staff, from being here prior, I have a version of what day glow and neon is, and that may not be the same as what the DRB is or others is. And so that is a difficult thing that may need more definition. Okay, next. Material, like I said, wood is wood. So Like I told earlier, it's gotta be made of wood, but nowadays, many signs can be made to look like wood. Faux wood, that lasts longer, is more durable, and yet can mimic what wood looks like. And so, those have all been concerns of the DRB, I know, and others have voiced that, the etched windows. So now you can do decals and, graphics that, take up entire windows and yet, the technology has increased so much in a lot of these areas that, materials comes up quite a bit in your discussions. Okay, next up. I just named 4. I know there's others. That's why we invited you guys as well to have your say. Next. So I've got next steps up here, but I just wanted to briefly run through those. Now, does anyone have any questions of me? Because I would like to hear from the DRB and you guys. So. Yeah.
From what, the way I read it, it's painted or etched.
It's painted or.
Okay, because you just said etched.
No, you're right. Any other questions or thoughts or concerns or, yeah?
What's the difference between a incidental sign and a temporary sign?
So a temporary sign, because like I said, it's limited to 72 hours, right? And so we require you to, come in if you want to have something up longer than, 72 hours. And every business can have, in residence, can have a certain number of incidental signs. We'll allow it.
Incidental sign then is.
Yeah.
It's,
It
it does not have a,
like a direct line sign, or yet doesn't have a specified time. And it is, I think that's one of our confusing things.
Earlier there was mention, earlier there was mention of no trespassing signs in one other here.
Yeah.
And I thought I heard one is allowed,
In
was that
residential area.
in residential area, and that was a commercial building in reference, but I've noticed other residential, actual residences have more than one. They're allowed one, is that right?
I believe the ordinance only allows.
They're not allowed 20 square feet. I called with a concern about that,
Yeah.
and I was.
Yeah, no, I believe
That they
that.
could have 20 square feet, of whatever they wanted.
So, and like I said, so each district breaks it down differently in what types of signs you can have, the number of signs, and, if let me look at it real quick. But I believe that a residential is
1752
how many,
residential low density. Medium density residential.
there you go. Okay, total square footage 10, you only get 10.
10 square feet, but if you wanted to have. If someone is saying no trespassing, they can only say it.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, it says, the use or lot shall have no more than one incidental sign with an area of no more than 2 square
That's-
feet sign area.
Okay.
And as, was pointed out earlier, the very next standard, a use or lot shall have no more than 2 temporary and or lawn signs. And no temporary or lawn sign shall have an area of more than 4 square feet. And that's temporary.
When a citizen raises a concern about residences that have excessive no trespassing signs or no parking, which isn't actually, so is that something to go to code enforcement?
Daniel, how would someone handle that?
Yeah, right now, so for a period of time, we have this meeting, so signage will need to been put pending for it to be discussed. But what I would suggest doing is go to the city website, there is a link under the police department for submitting a code complaint. you can either do that, or at the end of the meeting, I have some cards that I can give out, you can send me an email, or give me a call.
I have a question. In listening to you, I'm wondering, is the purpose of this discussion to help further define what those definitions are, or are you considering changing the definitions?
Yeah, so I think that there needs to be some refinement, if you ask me. It's just, as I pointed out, there's a few areas, especially business complexes, that we have to difficulty, I think, in the language. But
Which prevents you from enforcing them.
yeah, well, it does. I mean, I think it's confusing for operators and it's confusing for us. The other one that I would definitely think needs, is the materials, because it's been discussed quite frequently. Third is window signage, or clarification and definition, because should it just be, painted or etched? And then even if it's that, a more clarifying, because we have quite a few, and I went around town, 2 weeks ago and took a picture of every single sign in our town, 300 and something. And how many windows are being used as signage? It's nothing like Athens, Georgia, and a lot of the places I've been, but it's still being used that way. And so we need clarification for business operators and ours, because I do think there are, and that's the other thing, my last slide did not get shown, but it's okay, Robert, I messed you up there. My last slide was reminding, we have a survey, if you go to our website right now, on the site. We've only had 17 taken so far. It's been good feedback in that. And we're getting emails as well on signage. And they are both, like you said, some wanted to kind of update it to more modern practices in some ways. But then we have many, this other ones that keep it exactly the same or clarify that here.
I have a couple questions. Just out of curiosity for the design board, how many of you actually own businesses in the community?
I have previously,
But currently in this economy,
I'm retired.
and, okay, that is
Yeah.
for personal clarification.
That is good.
Secondly, like, when I think of like signage that you speak of, it's our logo. It's saying what our business is, or like who we are as a business. But there's also a good secondary signage that, nowadays kind of gets overlooked in the current, like all of the codes and stuff, of like actually explaining and trying to draw people in, because we're not allowed to have any signage that they can see from the outside. We're not allowed to do A-frames. And so, like, I just opened up Saltbox and I would love to be able to show, hey, I have bubble tea. It's like, people love bubble tea, but you can't tell it from the outside what I sell. So being able to tastefully put something on the windows, the bubble tea, charcuterie, something like that, I think there's missing code for that, because I think there is a place for that to help us succeed as businesses. That, it's like, why can we put up somebody's like event thing? And sometimes that's not up to 72 hours, you know? And when you guys ask us to put up like flyers for things that are going on, like the holiday stuff, that stays up for weeks, but we can't seem to get signage up for us to help people come be patrons of our businesses.
Yeah. And that's why we invited you guys here tonight, and that's why we want you to be involved in the discussion, because it should be a community. And you guys are, in much ways, the lifeblood of the community by doing that. And so you're the face of, what that signage needs to be, but then it needs to, we have built this community over, at least in 79 with ordinances that have kind of given it a certain character and a certain style. And so, what is that happy medium and where does it go? That's why we need the input, and whether, even if you're not a public speaker, and don't want to speak up tonight, to get those other people involved or the people that are harming you?
I can actually say the same thing. I owned Chilliwack Beach for 18 years. And I, to this day, have people walk in and say, didn't know you were here. It's a 3,000 square foot store in the Cannon Beach Mall. Didn't know I existed. Because we can't really put anything out there saying, you know, we have this, we have that. And there's a lot in the store, so it's really hard to say, you know, what we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, advertising is difficult to let people know when you're within a mall. How do you put out on Hemlock what you have back inside that mall?
So I would like to take any other questions to me, but take the focus off me now and let you guys run the discussion of, you know, with the public and others. And if you got questions, I'll still answer them.
Well, you're doing great, and I hope you will continue to add and pose questions. But this was highly educational. There's a lot of numbers rolling around in our heads, but I also hear a lot of concerns that people would love to express. And is there anybody on the commission who has anything they want to add to this to kind of trigger just more discussion and more thinking?
No.
Well, I will say as a longtime resident of Cannon Beach, since the 70s, that, one of the things is aesthetics of Cannon Beach. And I would beg to say that that's probably what drew anybody that's got a current business here. And part of that aesthetic is not allowing the sandwich boards, not allowing the neon signs, not allowing littering of signs in the windows, because it's that sort of a look which I think should cause, well, you know, people to explore. And your business is only as good as what you've got inside. And I'm not sure, you know, just because if you're allowed to put a sandwich board out there, that's going to change anybody's mind about, oh, I have to go there. You know, I'm not really sure anymore. I've been retired for a while. You know, so I'm trying to be sympathetic to that. Just because there are a lot more businesses in town. But I'm not sure that just allowing more signs is gonna, get you more people. You know, that's gonna come from your own business platform and your customer service and what you're offering to the community. So in that, there's a certain look, which is what the design review board is tasked with, keeping the aesthetics and the village character so that keeps people coming into our town. You know, I for one, don't necessarily want to see us, start looking like any other of our coastal neighbors, you know, that do allow, you know, any and all signage, for businesses. So that's where, you know, as Jeff has indicated, we're hoping to find a balance in that and update signs so that hopefully it works for everybody. And it's interpreted in the same way as we go farther down the road, you know, that, you know, if I don't sit on this committee anymore, somebody's going to be able to look at our sign ordinance and interpret it the same way that I am, to a certain degree. So I'll say that.
So to keep things going in a productive way, I think it would be helpful if we stayed on this subject right now. And maybe the subject is business signs and business promotions and how they can coexist with keeping in mind our aesthetic and the look that draws people back here. And so the words mean something. And so does anybody have any ideas of how we can meet both needs? Yes.
So I also have a shop and vent downtown proper, and I would encourage you guys to look at their sign ordinance. They do allow aprons, which I'm not asking for an apron or like, I know that can get very cluttery, they can get very tacky. But there is a percentage of window that you can add, graphics to, you can add, like text to without having, it to go through the permitting process. So, I mean, that might be something where like you could use 5% of your window to add, you know, some signage that gives an indication to keep it clean, still go through the design board. And then I would maybe suggest like, if we like have representation from like restaurant, retail services, so you guys get a good indication of maybe like in the current state of things, like how each type of business has an individual need to draw people in.
Good idea. Could I just ask, just for Tessa's sake and, everyone's sake, that if you are speaking to, let us know your name and your address for the record. This isn't a public testimony type thing, but it is good to know if we can follow up with you guys later.
Oh, I'm Andrea, and Paul's gonna do about 9 days.
You're about my way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great, and Sean, you had something?
I do live a business here.
Needs no introduction.
Michelle. 719 Elder. I agree with no outdoor merchandising. On the opposite side, I think it was cluttering. I think that the whole entire downtown is one aesthetic look. And once we start littering it, with also side merchandising, I get it too. People don't know I was there. But we are like, we got a little capital on it. This is like a resort town. So I don't think there should be sandwich boards. I don't think we should list everything we have on our windows. So I'm on the opposite side of that. I also, nice, put out here a little more. You know, I wanted to, one of the reasons I think that we're here is because I keep complaining about signs, but, I wanted to crack down more on materials. That's what I've been pushing for, is that there seems like there's a lot of non-approved materials. But I think I'm saying that we really need to push on keeping it paint, et cetera, but I've been pushing against vinyl decals for 5 years now, and looking around and being cost effective, because it's really hard to find an actual sign painter or painted person that does paint. There are a few that are expensive, that if you did want a decal, this was just my thought I was coming with, that a certain amount of your signage would be on the inside of your window, not on the outside, containing what would eventually be microplastics put back into the environment. So that was my little like guess on how to like try to like wrangle in all this plastic that's being used on our wood signs. That's so. I agree with you on outdoor merchandising.
So that's the compromise that you're,
The compromise.
yes, yes. All right, yeah, let's think big and let's talk about how, we can use words to, you know, really try to bridge the gap, okay?
Like if you're willing to get rid of part of your frontage of your window, like whatever, I don't know how much percentage, not that percent. To put your name and then you can have a vinyl decal on the inside of your window. That was just something I thought of.
I think that's, you know,
This is
thinking
cheaper.
outside the box, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we have to do. Any other thoughts like that about how this can look, like Cannon Beach and also advertise your businesses?
I think that, as was stated earlier, there are many jurisdictions that give you a certain amount of your window space, as it would be calculated in your signage, but you can use that as, you know, whether you put the new decals or that type of thing. And it's similar to what Michelle's discussing, where you have a certain area, but to allow some type of more, whether even it's temporary incidental type of signage, as long as a portion of that.
Right? Yes.
Sorry, this is my first time on one of these. I got all the time. So just for, again, my knowledge, and I know we're not trying to like call out anybody, but like, the exterior, like advertising, how does, like, Craig Neptune always also does bubble tea. How do they get away with having kiosks for ordering outside of their, building? And, but any outside, like apron size, whatever isn't allowed, like how, what's the differential between that and can I do that?
Are we talking about the paper?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so first off, I don't wanna start bringing up individual. I know, but that is a grandfather that comes well before any of us. You know, as far as I know, that's the only business that's allowed to do.
And Robert,
Tim has his hand up.
Yeah, and you can get through DRB approval, the ability to do that, publicly do that. To allow service outside, but it's within certain parameters and it has to go through the DRB. So possibly it was allowed to do that, some of the things that.
so Tim, you've had your hand up for a while.
Yeah, I just, I wanted to say, I heard what, board member Duber and former board member Valagura said, and it's really the reason I'm on design review board. I think Cannon Beach has distinguished itself as a particularly beautiful town, partly because of our reputation as Cannot Beach. And I sort of recoil at Cannot Beach in almost every sense of the word, except when it comes to things like signs on businesses. So what I'm interested in is, how do we support businesses? How do we help our businesses thrive in their best possible way? Bearing in mind, Chair, what I think you said, and that is that one of the reasons they do well in Cannon Beach is because of the ethos of Cannon Beach. And so we can't, it wouldn't necessarily be a better thing for our businesses to, retroactively, approve neon or something like that. But I think there is a valuable discussion to be had to figure out how we can advance the interests of business without destroying the ethos of Cannon Beach, which I think is sacrosanct. It's why we're all here.
So other ideas, yes.
Hi, Brooklyn Beamer, you have to I'm a policy and procedure girl, even though people might not think I am. But listening to Jeff and then what he just said is that I think that the first thing, I don't know how you guys will work it out, is clarification of rules and making it less confusing so that I can start with that and then be able to speak to my boss and partner about what we are allowed to do and then work on what we want to do. And then maybe just like with, every other owner in the area, if there's an exception that we're looking for, then we can present it. Not that you guys need like a lot of jobs, but it's a little bit confusing, and especially like given we're like in a condo association and she's in the building, what we're allowed to do with each of those spaces collectively, separately, together, give that person more, I don't know. But if it was clear, I could present it clearer to, I think, everyone.
Can I ask you, is it not clear because you're not getting a copy of the sign ordinance, or is it not clear because you're not understanding the sign ordinance?
I originally did not get a copy. And
Yeah.
I received it today and I would like read it 20 more times after this because I'm trying to pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
And I was listening to him the entire time and I was thinking maybe I could go on to the Cannon Beach org and read, because I mean, like, I designed my own bathroom, like, I understand the rules. I could get it, but like he was saying that it's hard to understand a color. It's hard to understand, I mean, I know math. but it's kind of legalese, and it doesn't need to be so. It doesn't need to be presented to us like we need to figure it out, rather than it just being, this is it. And
But
then
I think staff is there to help guide. I don't think that anybody's saying, you know, go figure it out. I think our staff is quite capable and willing to help.
I'll tell you, but you know, I appreciate the concern because it's,
I could see where it gets confusing.
It can be
for
confusing.
people.
You know, I will review with the, I was right now, what's the difference between the building and the business frontage. And, you know, and then how is that used, according to each limitation of square footage per business? Is, if you're in a business complex, or, you know, multi-tenant business, it can be a difficult thing. And so, you know, what I would propose for next month's work session is that we come back with the exact brochure you just asked for. When, if you're a multi-use tenant, this is, you know, you're halfway of how to read the ordinance with some of some of those other concerns on material and things like that, with some language that may clarify some of those issues.
I'm understanding the material. And I also understand numbers, and I apologize, this is the first time I looked at it, I actually used some of it to put my gun out.
Yeah.
But
So on that note, not to, you know, so you know the famous Google colors, green, yellow, red, and blue, it's on Google, pull it up, why don't you?
I see that.
You know, so is that Dago, is that luminescent, green, is that the color you want in the, that would be a question I would have for all of you as you leave for next month's discussion, because that would be part of what you're talking about. How do you define it? I've been in communities and let me tell you, they have like Pantones.
That's
What color you can use, right? It's that defined. I've been to, I come from the land of Hilton Head and Beaufort, South Carolina, and some of those codes, which are very prescriptive, down to, you know, just what I just said. And then there's others that allow more of their discretion, okay? And so, that's what I'd like for us to kind of discuss next one, and maybe give you guys a couple, like I said, a brochure of how you would walk through if you're a single site business or a resident, a site business owner, or a tenant, and how those steps and calculation, how much square footage, and then if you differ, if I don't want to do a wooden sign, what's that scope review? Where do you go, and how does that process done? And maybe we will have even, if Darwin can join us then, because Darwin's been awful quiet, and he's a practitioner of another sort, not just a business owner, his business is creating these. He has to make that balance every day between what the client wants and what the machine requires. And so that's a challenge in itself. And so, you know, also to hear from you, Darwin, with this topic as well. And so, because it's got a cost burden as well. We have not discussed to the business owner, the cost burdens as well to do this nowadays. And so, you know, I know some of you are new businesses and some have been for decades. And so I want to respect everyone's opinions. And then if you're not comfortable in doing it in a public situation, you can always call me or email me. I'm happy to have a coffee or a lunch, or just come into the office to talk about signing.
And one final thought. This isn't the only kind of city that needs an ordinance like this. So look at a city that you admire that is similar to us and see what their ordinances look like. And we may find we can do a model, clear, understandable, enforceable ordinance without needing a lawyer or taking up the time of Jeff and Robert, so that you can start with good questions that are pointed about what you want in your marketing needs. So I would challenge you to try to see if you can look at some and see some language that seems to work, because is working in their cities. So this isn't the end of the discussion.
And on that note, we will have, as part of our signage page, I'll have some model ordinances and best practices from others, you know, that, you can look at, but, you know, a lot of those are 50 to 80 pages long, and, you know, they can get, bundlesome in themselves, and we have a fairly simple, straightforward one that has done pretty well over time. So it's not, I don't wanna rewrite, you know,
No,
we're
I
not
think
having to
we're looking to
recreate.
rewrite it.
So I appreciate everyone for hanging in there for as long as you have, and thanks for coming out tonight. And, we will be in touch and keep messages out. I'm not closing it down, I'll find back on the.
Right, look at ordinances that address the problems that you're thinking about, that you live, and give us some ideas. So,
I think one of the things that we need to really identify are maybe, and might be the easiest way to go, is what we do not want to see in Cannon Beach, whether, you know, continuing to disallow the neon signs, restricting how many business signs you can attach to your building. I think it might be easier that way, and then you can, you know, branch out into what might be compromise for either, you know, some advertising in your window space, and making more allowances in that direction. You know, and really working with what we have, because I think, as Jeff has said, I mean, it's a good sign ordinance, its intentions were good, it has served us well, but now we've grown so much, and there's so many different materials out there, and people's tastes and, you know, have changed. So, I think that's what we're trying to really, deal with right now.
I like that idea.
You know, and I think it's mostly the commercial, you know, I mean, I know that residential gets a little bit, touchy too. But I think right now it's just for commercial signage.
All right, so look at the places where you saw about this meeting, and we'll let you know when the next one's gonna be. Yes,
Hey, I'm
oh, yeah,
I'm Paul Spade, I'm in PO Box 148, California. I'm kind of representing the American Legion, and you're aware, but once a week we have a hamburger night, and once a month we have the an oyster feed or fish fry or things like that. And one of the things that we've been doing is using the sandwich board to advertise just for that event. And we only typically have that, we don't even have it for 72 hours like is allowed for the incidental, but we set it out for like 3 hours. It would be, this would be a concrete suggestion for you, is that, or under the exception of prohibited signs, maybe allow sandwich boards for very specific, non-everyday events, I don't know how you word that, that do not obstruct the pathways or in the streets that is on your property, that, so you could, you know, advertise those. You know, like the library has their books, has a sandwich board for the book sale, which is behind, not on the walkway, but it's behind their door. I think as I recall, I think the Glass Blowing had one that they used the first of the year for their sale, but I can't remember if they still did that. It would be nice if we could have an exception for these occasional events, rather than carte blanche, never do it. I agree that they shouldn't be out there all the time, like there's a couple locations that do that locally. I think that's just too much, but for occasional events, I think it'd be fine. The other thing that I have a suggestion for is the section, where it talks about the, it's 1762-050 exceptions, excuse me. And down here it says that, you can have 3 national or state government signs Well, at the American Legion, we typically put up 4 holidays, like Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July. We usually put up some flag for all the military units, Navy, Army, Marines, and things like that. And I'm not sure if our using all, I mean, there's like 8 units, but more than that now, the space units, but I would think that we should be allowed to do that on, maybe holidays.
That would be something to talk to code enforcement about. Great ideas. Yeah,
No, that's my suggestion for a rule.
Yes.
For an ordinance change,
right,
to allow, military units to be.
right. And whatever exceptions we make, they may even become typically what you see in Cannon Beach. And that's what we're going for, is the continuing feeling that this is a distinctive, beautiful place. So thank you very much, and we'll close it now, and we look forward to seeing you again the next public session on signages. I'm gonna go home and read that ordinance. Hey.
Is there a good of the order?
Sure.
Yeah, you gotta do, good of the order.
I think we're done.
Yeah. I don't have any orders, good of the order.
Okay, so, does anybody have anything on the good of the order? I don't see anything. Jim, right?
I think we should do this entirely one evening, not have it, come at the same time as our regular. We have a special meeting.
Oh, okay, then the agenda.
Why should you let the wait?
Yeah, right, yeah, she's early. Right. Okay, here, so that's for the good of the order, and anything else for the good of the order? We are adjourned.